classy and sassy as ever. Now, what I'm going to do for the A2VK, it's a WrestleTalk podcast. I'm going to go right now and I'm going to check it out. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube. WrestleTalk is what they offer. And hopefully they put me over like hell, honey, because I know for a fact I'm the classiest thing ever. So go to A2VK and make sure those nasty things are putting me over like I deserve. Nothing but nasties, I tell you.
Right, shall we talk SmackDown?
We must.
We fucking must, Carl. This is a fucking train wreck of a show now, and they really. I'm gonna moan all the way through. There's not a nice thing to say about this fucking show, right? So we start out with a recap of the hit and run. We already knew all this shit, right? But the design was that we get now Jeff Hardy comes to the ring and basically says that he knows he weren't drunk. He remembers getting out of his car and he remembers being hit over the head with what felt like an anvil or some shit like that. And apparently there was an eyewitness who saw a big ginger fella. Not an eyewitness, considering how close they were to the Performance Center, not an eyewitness who could identify a wrestler as noticeable as Sheamus, but enough that they could hint that it was Sheamus. So then Jeff's like, it was Sheamus. And then Sheamus comes out like, oh, don't try and put the blame on me. And basically saying that he's a liar and he's got people to come forward as witnesses for him who are his friends and blah, blah, blah. And basically they're just setting up for that feud between the two of them. But they go for like a bit of a brawl up the ramp. And again, it does this typical thing where Sheamus ends up looking like a monster and Jeff doesn't look like he's getting much offense in. So I've seen Jeff struggle to beat him and I've seen Jeff struggle to take him on now when he's mad. So we're going into this match between the two of them at Backlash, I think it is, and it's like, well, what am I meant to think? Because is Jeff going to actually have any decent offense? Is Jeff even going to win? Because they're making it look like a proper uphill battle. The booking Sheamus that much of a monster that for me it feels at this point unrealistic if Jeff wins, even though that should really be the outcome story wise. Unless we're going to get some craziness. I mean, bear in mind this eyewitness apparently saw a big ginger fella. What if she didn't mean tall? What if it was a man carrying a big green briefcase as well?
Maybe.
He's not. Sheamus isn't the only ginger on SmackDown. I'm just saying.
I mean, how far along is Becky's pregnancy?
Nice. So I don't know. Maybe we're obviously not going to get any twists. It's just going to be a battle. But it's interesting that it was like anyone who lives near the Performance Center who could have eyewitnessed that might have been able to go, that was Sheamus. It was definitely Sheamus. Big, illuminescently white Irish man. Because his new entrance where they put all the spotlights on him is insane. Just glows, doesn't he?
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, so we move on from that. They're feuding. They're going to have a match. Brill. Everyone wins. We cut to Otis and Mandy backstage. Now, right. They're booking Otis as this lovable face, clearly. This goofy fucking guy, right? He's wandering around backstage like the lovable oaf that he is, and he sees what is quite clearly Corbin's crown and cloak, and then proceeds to take the crown, put it on, and just walk off. Now, I, as people know from a character point of view, I don't like Corbin. Never been a fan of the character, right? But I'm totally on Corbin's side on this. Right? Because they move on to a match between Otis and Corbin comes out steaming mad because Otis is stealing his shit. And everyone's like, oh, it's just a joke. It's like, but like for starters, right, he got the crown because he's king of the ring. So that's meant to mean something, right? So that's put aside from the fact that it is annoying when people steal your shit, right? If, let's say Otis was wandering around haplessly backstage and saw an unguarded Universal Championship belt and just decided to wear that out to the ring as well, would we then be going, oh, it's just a joke when Braun comes out to kick his ass? No, we'd be behind him. It'd be disrespectful, but it's not disrespectful when he does it to Corbin because Corbin's the bad guy. And whilst I'm never a fan of Corbin's character, I don't get why, to me, that was kind of a heely thing for the face to do, to just steal his crown and fuck off taking the piss, really. How did you feel about that? Because I didn't class it as like a goofy, funny thing. I classed it as like, well, that's kind of a dick move.
Same. It just didn't make any sense. Like, what was the purpose of it? I feel like that's the way to describe this whole show. To be fair, it's just, what was the point?
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting weirder and weirder. But we result in this match between the two of them. And again, Corbin actually looked really good in the ring. The match was good between the two of them. But typically, we can't have a straightforward match. So we get these... just when I'm on the edge of saying this was a good match and let's give credit where credit's due, Corbin goes out the ring, gets the chair, and ends up DQing himself. And then Otis still gets the better of him and hits the caterpillar, but it went to a DQ finish in Otis's favour because we can't have a straightforward fucking match anymore. So that was annoying in itself, like typical outside DQ shenanigans. So moving on from that match, we cut to Miz and Morrison, and they're watching Braun arrive in his old car, and they're obviously waiting to do some pranks or some evil plot or whatever, but they're just watching him in this surveillance van quite clearly. And the first prank of the night is he goes to do his protein shake. I don't even know what they did to it, but his protein shake explodes, so he's like, oh, and they're going to wind him up because apparently an angry giant is the best one to face because he's going to make mistakes if he's angry. So that will continue as we go on throughout the night. What do you make of the goofy Miz and Morrison segments? I feel like it was meant to be funny, Carl.
Yeah, I'm not even sold on Braun either. I just think he's a fucking oaf, and you know what I mean. He's just like, oh, I put water in and it explode. Oh,
yeah, I think they're overestimating his threshold. I think like he seems like, because of the way they book him, like say he's a big oaf. Like I reckon he probably breaks things in his hands constantly, and he's like, ah!
I know. Yeah, he probably wasn't even aware that anyone was setting him up.
But yeah, kind of again. I mean, they're the heels, so at least it makes a bit of sense in that way. But weird, nonetheless. So we cut to a backstage segment with Shorty G, who's being interviewed, and he's interrupted by Mojo Rawley, and Mojo proceeds to make the exact same jokes that Cesaro made last week. Like, hey, little guy, and you come up short and those kind of bullshit fucking things. And again, we've established in one of our other segments that he's not actually all that short. Hey ho. And then basically he's then attacked by Cesaro and Shinsuke because apparently they haven't let go of that. They're still mad at him for winning a match. Okay. And then Shorty G is subsequently saved by the New Day. So we're pushing forward to, spoilers here, Carl, but that moves into a match later on tonight. So.
Of course it does.
Of course it does. So we move on from that. We go to the rematch of Lacey Evans and Sonya Deville. The fight of the hair colour, as it's famously known, because, who will win, blonde or she's not even brunette, is she? Black hair? I don't know. Anyway. So Lacey, she's actually attacked by Sonya on the way to the ring. So, yeah, more shenanigans. It's one of these bugbears for SmackDown, but more shenanigans because we can't have straightforward shit happening. Now, she, this one, I think, again, we've mentioned it previously, but I mention it now in case anyone's only listening specifically this segment. We get some stupid, weird shenanigans. Although this match manages to go ahead fully, in a sense, we still get some shenanigans. So we get that weird spot with the referee, in which the referee gets knocked over, I think by Lacey, but they were performing a move in the corner and knock into the ref very lightly, and he falls over, and then he tells them to back off and calls for help from the back, and then it cuts to commercial. And then when we come back from commercial, it's a totally different ref, and they explain that he's hurt, he's got a sore ankle or whatever. And we discussed earlier, but for those who are only listening to the weekend review, it seems that this wasn't legit. It didn't look legit, but when you feel like something's going to come from it. But this was a work, but none of us are sure why it was a work, because literally all it served to do was change the referee out with no real purpose at all. And then the other shenanigan we decided to get is that Mandy sort of interrupts, in a sense, puts herself up on the screen and hassles Deville, allowing Evans to get the women's right and get the win, which, again, is like it's another face move where they're using the distractions to take the advantage, which doesn't feel very facey. But hey ho.
No, and also I thought this shit was done. No, we're still getting Mandy and Sonya.
I don't get why it's a few. To be honest, I was there watching it, like a little bit. To be honest, Carl, like why have we now got Lacey and Sonya? And like you say, then they backpedal and go, well, we're still not done with Mandy and Sonya. It seems they don't know how to finish this whole thing because the feud between her and Lacey is quite weak as well, to be honest with you. Everyone's like quite high on Sonya at the minute. And with all due respect to her, like, where's she going to go now? Because they're not putting her in the title picture. So she's just beating up blonde women. This isn't going to end well.
Yeah.
Like, as a story goes, she's going to fizzle out again if they don't do something with it. But everyone's quite high on her at the minute. They've got this nickname on social media as Daddy DeVille. And it's like, yeah, that's all well and good if you like her, but like, there's going to be nothing to get behind soon because this is kind of weak and it's going to carry on getting weaker. So I don't know. Weird. So then we move on to a backstage interview with Braun Strowman. And is it Kayla Braxton he's being interviewed by? And they're actually talking about Miz and Morrison trying to prank them. And then they go for this sort of Nickelodeon green slime. But I fucked it up because they're both goofy, aren't they? So they put it over the wrong person. So Kayla Braxton gets totally soaked in slime. And then Braun's apologising to her, but acting angry. And to be honest, shocking bit of acting from Braun. Like, just, how do I do anger? Like, okay, that was convincing. Yeah, so now, to be honest, Kayla was more convincing than she was pissed off with them. Like, I don't know if that's a match pending, maybe. Maybe the Miz is going to lose to her. I don't know. But yeah, so we're still getting goofy pranks. I want to specify right here, right now. Goofy pranks from the Miz and Morrison. Oh, it's comical. Right, so we have a face-to-face, Carl. This is different. This isn't a contract signing because no one's going to sign the paperwork or flip a table. We're going to meet face-to-face. We're just going to have a face-to-face. So Styles and Bryan meet in the ring with the belt in the middle, as they do, you know, yay. And then Bryan, typically again, he's trying to put Styles down for making the smart choice. And I'm totally on board with Styles as much as Styles is meant to be the heel. It's like, well, why wouldn't you make the smart choice? And then Bryan's obviously trying to make the connections like about scrapping and earning for things, and AJ's calling him on a few points, and says that people are just handed opportunities; they don't earn things. Like, this is why he didn't want to participate in this whole battling with the Battle Royal. People need to earn things; they don't just get handed them because of opportunity and so on like that. To the point that AJ then sort of mocks him and says, "I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give a handout. I'm gonna give an opportunity to someone," and challenges Drew Gulak to a match there and then. Which I worried for a sec because I didn't know if they were doing it for the IC opportunity, which would have negated everything that AJ was saying. Turns out it was just a match, so that's good. So, yeah, Gulak decides to come in, enter, and get straight into it. So he starts wailing on him, and then we cut to break because naturally we do. So we come back from the break, and we're underway with the match. And to be fair, yeah, they put on a really good match together. We know that Gulak can go in the ring anyway. But it was nice to see him up against AJ. They worked really well together, and they actually have the honour of being the first straight match of the night where there was actually a fucking winner. Naturally,
it took long enough, didn't it?
I know. So AJ obviously wasn't going to lose this one, but it was still a really good match for Gulak. So, oh no, hang on, sorry, I'm saying that wrong.
Oh, he lost here. Yeah.
Gulak got the surprise pin. Oh, that's where my head wanted to be. I'm surprised AJ didn't get the win because it would have made a lot of fucking sense. But yeah, Gulak actually got the surprise pin. Apologies for that, guys. So I don't know. This was the point I was going to make. I don't actually know what that means for the IC title match, because to me the logical point, and that's the note I wrote, was that Styles should have won but didn't. But that should have been the logical shout, shouldn't it? Because we're going into the Bryan Styles match now thinking, well, he can't even beat Gulak. Admittedly, it wasn't like a straightforward, like it was a surprise roll up on it, so it wasn't exactly like a, yeah, I don't know, they've done the whole caught off guard thing, I suppose. So you could argue that it wasn't like a straight sort of win in that sense. But yeah, what did you make of that finish? Like, I mean, they clearly seem to be pushing Gulak in some way. What did
I was definitely surprised by it. I thought this was just going to be like a, you know, bit of filler, to hype up the actual match between them two. But to see him actually lose it was a bit surprising.
Mm. Yeah, be interesting to see where we go. And I don't think anyone's actually sure when the because a lot of people were, from what I read on Twitter anyway, a lot of people were expecting the final of the IC tournament tonight. So presumably that's next week. But yeah, I think everyone was a little bit like, oh, right, we're not actually having the final of the tournament this night. So yeah, we'll see. Presumably it's going to be on SmackDown. I don't know if they're going to keep it for, they can't keep it for a pay-per-view, surely. SmackDown on Backlash, are they?
Fuck knows. Who knows?
Nah. Right, so we then cut back to Miz and Morrison, who have, well, they decided to carry on and do another prank. This one's hysterical, Carl. They get a bat and smash Braun's car up, which, okay, that was a step in a whole new direction. I think for random reason, they decided to move from goofy pranks to just straight up criminal damage. So they smash his windscreen up and so on like that. And obviously we all just then have to await the onslaught of an angry Braun. I mean, he was angry enough about the slime and the drink, so God knows. What's he going to do, Carl? I think he's going to flip.
What is he going to do? He's definitely going to flip.
Right, so then we move on to the previously randomly arranged 6-man tag match that naturally was booked there and then on the night, and there was just surprisingly adequate time for. So we have the New Day with Shorty G versus Cesaro, Shinsuke, and Mojo, because okay, Mojo's there. And I don't know, it was okay. I mean, I don't want to discredit anyone here, but because it was just kind of randomly stuck together, like the reason they don't like Shorty G is kind of stupid. Mojo being involved just because he was stood there is kind of stupid. I don't know. None of it. It was a good display for Chad Gable, and I don't know where they're going with Chad, because this is another week now when we're getting a display on him defending himself. I don't get what the defense is. I'm not sure. It's like, okay. But he's leaned into the Shorty G gimmick, so I don't know. I really don't know where they're going with it. I wish they'd drop the whole Shorty G shite, but it's nice to see him getting a bit of a push because he is really quite good in the ring.
Mm.
And I'm again mentioned in another segment, but he's not that much shorter than Big E, so what the hell?
That's mad. Baffled.
But yeah, what did you make of this match? Because again, from a wrestling point of view, it was a good display for Chad, who got a fair bit of in-ring time, and he can go in the ring, but it just seems like a bit of a stapled together mess, really.
Yeah, agreed. Every match he has is a good match because he's a good wrestler, but it's just the whole, like, why does it need to be a 6-man? And like, I don't know, it just doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah, I'll take your point. So naturally we saw the New Day and Chad getting the win, so the right decision was made there. But as far as motivation goes, presumably we're going to get another random superstar this week, find Shorty G and tell him he's short, and we'll get another match. Seems to be the format going forward.
Yeah.
Right, so we go back to Braun. He sees his car and fucking flips out. Manages to find the van that Miz and Morrison were hiding in. Only a minor gripe, but don't know how he managed to identify the van so quick. He just sort of looked around until he saw a van and went, probably in that one. And then, as Braun does, he proceeds to flip the van over. And the minute he went near the van, we knew he was going to flip the van over, because what they like to do is have Braun flip things. And I believe so far this is like the 4th vehicle he's flipped over. This is how regularly we go back to this gimmick. And if I was Bobby Lashley right now, I'd feel a fucking ashamed of myself. Like, you're on Raw flipping tires. This fella's flipped 4 fucking cars now. He needs to up his game. He needs to sort his shit out.
He does.
That's why no one was asked when Bobby Lashley flipped a tire. This fucker over here is flipping ambulances, man.
Madness.
Yeah.
Bloody madness.
And then, not sure what happened to Miz and Morrison. I don't know if they're dead. Presumably they're not. But Braun didn't care, so we're not going to. So that's, the van's tipped over and they're still inside. And right, so we move on to, this is actually our main event of the night, Carl. We have Bliss Cross Applesauce versus Sasha and Bailey. Now, I'll be honest with you, Carl. This is the main reason I fucking hated SmackDown. It's the main reason it's getting absolutely no decent rating from me. Is a fucking piss poor booking decision, and I'm mad about the whole fucking thing. I'm not even going to talk about the match itself, Carl. I'm going to talk about the fact that they've put the belts back onto Sasha and Bayley. Right? Literally, like, what? A couple of weeks after the belts getting moved over to Bliss and Cross, when everyone's waiting for the inevitable heel turn on one of them, on each other, right?
Mhm.
When this title has been around since fucking February 2019 and has already had 6 different fucking champions, or 6 different title changes, and fucking 4 of them are these fuckers.
Yep.
It's absolutely ridiculous. This is totally not legitimizing this belt at all. Like, this belt is getting turned over more than any other belt at the moment, right? Bear in mind, like, the Universal Championship is reasonably new, and that hasn't been turned over anywhere near as much as these fucking things in terms of that span of time. In the space of a year, 6 times. It's ridiculous. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but in the grand scheme, it fucking is.
No, it's mad. And I think what's even more baffling is to do it while Bailey is the champ as well. Like, so what does this mean for the title picture now? You know, for the women's title, like.
Yeah. And not only that, Carl, right? This also has essentially fucked up the story they are going with the Iconics on Raw. Are they just now going to start fighting with Bailey and Banks? Is this an excuse to get Bailey and Banks on every fucking show?
Fucking hell, probably.
Because now they defend the tag titles at any show, apparently. I know no one ever really turns up to NXT, but technically they can defend them there too.
Mm-hmm.
And people seem to be fucking happy with this decision. People are now using the term Bailey 2 belts, which pisses me off because it was shit when it was Becky and it's shit now. Just awful, awful fucking decision.
I think she's been asked, hasn't she, to be called something like Bailey Dose straps or something, or Bailey Dose titles or something. I don't know what it is.
Thing is, though, it's a shit nickname.
Oh god, yeah.
Like, it never, like, do you remember when Chris Jericho won both titles and unified them? Did he run around calling himself Jericho 2 belts? No, because it's a stupid fucking nickname. You've got 2 belts that make, yeah, fine. So that's happened many a time over the years. It's not actually a big deal. In fact, it was more of a big deal when it was Becky because there were 2 world championships. This is a tag belt. Like, people have held tag championships and other championships before now.
Yeah.
Only minor stuff, but the whole fucking thing pissed me off. They needed to have a longer run with it's not even like a favoritism thing. It didn't have to be Bliss and Cross, but they happen to be the champs. It needed to have a longer run with a set of champs. It needed to be legitimized that it's actually a tough belt to attain. But these move around something fucking shocking.
Yeah, just seemed like an odd choice.
In this is the problem, right? In this day and age, this is where things are getting worse and worse for like Ric Flair is correct me if I'm wrong here, Carl, 16-time champion.
16 times.
16 times, right? That's impressive, right? But it's becoming decidedly less impressive now because they deliberately want to push the agendas to get these things beat. So Charlotte, at the age she is already closing in on that 16 times, or has closed in. I'm not quite sure what number she's on now.
No, she's close to it, I think. I think the closest we've had is Cena, so 15, I think.
And bear in mind, Ric Flair was still going well into, like, what, 50s? Easy?
Yeah.
So if Charlotte has the same tenure as her dad, we're going to get to a point when it's going to get ridiculous where you're going, oh, this woman's like a 36-time tag champ, a 36-time world champ. It's like, it's because you're fucking accelerating the fuck out of everything.
Yeah.
Everyone's titles are just changing hands way too much. They're getting moved around way too much. This is what's ruined the IC title and the United States title as well. They're just afraid to keep them on people. Does me head in. And just before we close off, Carl, and I give my rating, I'll mention that there was no mention of Matt Riddle either, despite him being announced the week before. That was odd.
Yep.
No Hacker. Just nope. That's been dropped for a few weeks now because fuck it, why not? No mention of The Fiend. Nope. Although in real life he's had some time off because he just had a baby, so totally understandable. But from a storyline point of view, it's just like, he's just not here. And absolutely no fucking decent creative ideas. Couldn't see any of them either. So for me, SmackDown, worst show of the night, worst show I've seen in a good while, and it's getting a fucking 1. and I'm being
Yep.
generous, giving it a 1. And that's because there was wrestling. Wrestling was on there at some point, so it's getting a 1.
Agreed. It was fucking awful. It was so bad. Just a waste of time.
Yeah, the weakest, the piss poor fucking show of the week. What rating you giving it, Carl? You going for a 1 as well? Yeah.
A 1.
Yeah.
1.
Cool. Right.